Well, last episode was fun for me. A 0-0 draw against Portsmouth and a 1-0 win over Southampton left us third in the league and only a point off the top two. And I thought to myself, we're in for a really good season this year, aren't we? That wasn't until I played the next 5 games, and now I can safely assume we're going to be in for a shit season. As I did mention, we drew 0-0 at home to Portsmouth and then followed up with a famous 1-0 win away at Southampton, in which a game where we conceded 33 shots but didn't concede a single goal. And to be brutally honest, I'm still in shock that we managed to pull off that result. So following that game against Southampton, we took on Birmingham City at home and we continued our poor run of form at home this season with a 2-0 defeat. They scored a goal in both halves and yeah, it was just really disappointing. I think they scored with 5 minutes left on the clock despite us dominating. We then followed that up with a home game against Nottingham Forest and we once again lost by a goal to nil. João Carvalho scored a free kick from the edge of the box. We then took on Luton Town, who had lost every single one of their first 7 games, and then we lost to them by a goal to nil with Morgan Whittaker scoring after 4 minutes. And then in the game following that, we took on Sheffield Wednesday, who was second bottom in the league, and Alex Samuel gave us the lead from 25 yards, but then Adam Reach scored in the second half to make it 1-1, and then Kadeem Harris scored in the 91st minute to give Sheffield Wednesday all 3 points. After beating Southampton, we were third, and now we're above the relegation zone. Amazing how that's happened. But in this episode, we take on Bristol City away from home in a game that I have picked because we have been better away from home than at home, so I'm hoping we get all 3 points. Now, following that win over Southampton, I didn't realise the vast difference in terms of expected goals. And the fact that Southampton were expected to score 3 and didn't score a single one is actually pretty good. My assistant manager Richard also did a press conference before we took on Birmingham at home and said that he feared that we were going to lose to Birmingham, and for some reason my team were pleased and then we lost 2-0. I mean, cheers for that, Richard.
Please, 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 fuck right off.
We also tried to bring in Steve Seddon, a left back from Birmingham City, but I think Birmingham wanted 1.5 million, and then he went and joined Fiorentina anyway. I don't really think I had any chance of getting him. Rotherham United also made an ambitious bid to bring in the Buckinghamshire Messi, which I swiftly rejected. So Adebayo Akinfenwa still hasn't scored for me, and after the Birmingham game, he has gone 18 games without scoring, and I think after the last 2 games, he's now gone 20 games without scoring. Osman Kaikai has also been called up to the Sierra Leone squad, which I've had absolutely no effect on whatsoever. So Gillingham made a bid for Anthony Stewart on deadline day, but I rejected it because he's my 4th choice centre-back. And then Rotherham put in another bid for Daryl Horgan, which I swiftly rejected again. I'm not selling him, lads. I mean, he might not be scoring, assisting, dribbling, or doing anything which is actually effective in the game, but he is definitely my best player on the left wing when I start him. Forest Green also made a bid for Anthony Stewart, and I rejected that as well. And then they proceeded to put in 4 bids on him on deadline day. I mean, lads, get the message. No one's getting him. So I'm pleased to announce one of our 2 signings that I've made in the most recent weeks. And first of all, we needed to buff up the midfield. So I decided to bring in Lewis Ferguson on loan from Arsenal. He joined them from Aberdeen, I think, last season for 1.3 million. He's a pretty good centre midfielder. He's most likely going to be a first team star once I decide where to play him. And I've pretty much stuck to the same 3 central midfielders all season, so I'm going to have to drop one of them. And our second signing is the number 10, and I decided to go and buy him because he is actually a pretty good player at this level. And George Moncur joins us on a free transfer after his contract at Luton had expired in the summer. And to be fair, looking at his stats, they're not too bad for this level. And to be fair, he was actually a pretty decent player when we beat Luton in the FA Cup last season, so I thought I'd bring him in anyway. Josh Knight is also happy because I brought in George Moncur to help him settle at the club. I mean, Josh, you've been here for like a year and a half. How have you not settled by now? The wage expenditure has also shown that we are so far off for every other team in the league. I'm the only team that's spending under 100k a week on their players. And it was also found that Southampton has spent the most in the summer transfer window, and yet they still couldn't beat me at home. Oh, I'm going to take that to my grave, aren't I? Beating Southampton at St Mary's with Wycombe Wanderers. The board also gave me a B- in my monthly manager performance review, but the fact that they're not happy with any of the finances for any of the transfers I made, I mean, it is quite striking. Daniel Gailai has also made his first appearance for Hungary before he's even made an appearance for me. Just gonna note that down in my book of best transfers I've ever made. And finally, Nick Freeman is also injured, which is great news because David Wheeler is also injured as well, which means I'm now out of right midfielders. Now, we do move into our game against Bristol City, and we do have a couple of injuries, so I've had to rejig the side once again. I've decided to bring in the 4-2-3-1 formation, which allows George Moncur to take his place as the number 10 in his debut in the series. Lewis Ferguson also plays as central midfielder alongside Dominic Gape, who is going to be our ball-winning midfielder. And Zach Clough returns to the side to play on the right wing because I actually have no right wingers in my side. It truly is amazing that I did say that he was never going to play for me ever again, probably because I had too many good right wingers, and now both of them are injured. Coincidence much? I mean, looking at the Bristol City side, I mean, they are beatable, and we have been pretty good away from home. I know we lost our last away game against Sheffield Wednesday, but we've not been too bad away from home. I think we've won every other game, actually, saying that. But then again, saying that we did lose to them 3-0 last season away from home, so let's hope that doesn't happen again. And also, because because we plummeted down the league recently, we do need to get some points on the boards because we were 3rd a couple of weeks ago and now we're like 20th. 7 minutes were on the clock when Bristol City got the first highlight of the match, and Henrik Dalsgaard got some space down the wing, put a ball into the box, and it found its way to Jay Da Silva, who fired it past Ryan Allsop. So first of all, I signed the wrong brother, and now he scored against me. Well done, Proudy, you moron. And once again, sensationally, that was the only highlight of the first half. I know we were 1-0 down. They've had 1 shot on goal, and it went in, and we've had 4, and we haven't even scored yet. And before you ask, oh, Proudy, you had a shot on target, surely you had a highlight. No, we didn't. We didn't have a single highlight. I ripped into the boys at halftime and told them they need to be a lot better, and Osman Kai then found Alex Samuel, who then on the edge of the box fired it well over the bar. And then goal scorer Jay Da Silva managed to escape down the left-hand side past Zach Clough, put a ball into the box, and Casey Palmer headed it over the bar. I mean, Zach Clough really is fucking awful. And I decided to change things up, and I brought Zach Clough, who I thought was having an absolutely disastrous game, and brought on Liam Cullen to play on the right-hand side, and then took off Alex Samuel, who wasn't really playing that well, and brought on Adebayo Akinfenwa, a player who hasn't scored in 21 games for me. Look, here's my reasoning. He's going to score eventually. It's going to happen. Just before those substitutions were made, we did have a highlight. Osman Kai managed to get some space in the box, and I thought he was fouled by Jay Da Silva, but the referee didn't think so, and they counter-attacked. And then from that result and counter-attack, Andy Weimann got into the box, and then Lewis Ferguson took him out to give away a penalty. So we should have had a penalty at one end, and now have given away a penalty within the same 30-second highlight. Idiots! All of them are idiots. And despite James Ward-Prowse missing a penalty in the last episode, it wasn't going to happen again, as Liam Walsh fired this in to make it 2-0. It really is not going well at this club now. We did have a free kick in the dangerous area, and George Moncur played the ball to the back post, and Liam Cullen headed it against the bar. And then from the resulting corner, we were counter-attacked, and Adam Najou found Isaac success. We then laid the ball off for Patrick Klimala, who fired it past Ryan Allsop. 3-0 down again to Bristol City away from home. This is actually embarrassing. Adebayo Akinfenwa then laid the ball off for Liam Cullen, who ran at the Bristol City defence, but could only fire the shot at the keeper from 30 yards. And that was it for the game. We'd lost 3-0 again to Bristol City for the 2nd season in a row away from home. And to make matters worse, Zach Clough, who I said was very ineffectual in this game, apparently was the best performer for us. Are you taking the piss? And now we're 21st in the league. We were 3rd at the end of last episode. 3rd place, and now I'm 21st. Jesus Christ. I mean, to be fair, he's probably the only person that could pull off the miracle of survival at this rate.